Song I, Spartan Metamorphosis. If, fighting for his dear paternal soil, the soldier in the front of battle fall, 'tis not in fickle fortune to despoil his store of fame that shines the charge of all. But if, oppressed by penury, he rove far from his native town and fertile plain, and lead the sharer of his fondest love in youth too tender with her infant train, and if his aged mother, his shrunk sire, join the sad group, see many a bitter ill against the houseless family conspire, and all the measure of the wretched fill. Pale, shivering want companion of his way, he meets the luster of no pitying eye, to hunger and dire infamy a prey. Dark hatred scowls and scorn quick passes by. Alas, no traits of beauty or of birth, no blush now lingers in his sunken face. Dies every feeling, as he roams o'er earth, of shame transmitted to a wandering race. But be it ours to guard this hallowed spot, to shield the tender offspring and the wife. Here steadily await our destined lot, and for their sakes resign the gift of life. Ye, valorous youths, in squadrons close combined, rush with a noble impulse to the fight. Let not a thought of life glance o'er your mind, and not a momentary dream of flight. Watch your hoar seniors, bent by feeble age, whose weak knees fail, though strong their ardor glows. Nor leave such warriors to the battle's rage, but round their awful spirits firmly close. Base, base the sight, if foremost on the plain, in dust and carnage the fallen veteran roll. And, while youths shrink back, unshielded, stain his silver temples, and breathe out his soul. Song II, Valor, race, purity, and glory. Yet are ye Hercules' unconquered race, remand, heroic tribe, your spirit lost. Not yet all-seeing, Jove averts his face, then meet without a fear the thronging host. Each to the foe his steady shield oppose, accoutred to resign his hateful breath. The friendly sun a mild effulgence throws on valor's grave, though dark the frown of death. Yes, ye have known the ruthless work of war. Yes, ye have known its tears, its heavy woe, when scattering in pale flight ye rushed afar, or chased the routed squadrons of the foe. Of those who dare, a strong compacted band, firm for the fight their warrior spirits link, and grapple with the foeman hand to hand. How few, through deadly wounds expiring, sink. They, foremost in the ranks of battle, guard the inglorious multitude that march behind, while shrinking fears the coward's step retard, and dies each virtue in the feeble mind. But 'tis not in the force of words to paint what varied ills attend the ignoble troop, who trembling on the scene of glory faint, or wound the fugitives that breathless droop. Basely the soldier stabs, with hurried thrust, the unresisting wretch that shieldless flies. At his last gasp dishonored in the dust, his back transfixed with spears, the dastard lies. Thus then, bold youth, the rules of valor learn. Stand firm and fix on earth thy rooted feet. Bite with thy teeth thy eager lips, and stern in conscious strength the rushing onset meet. And shelter with thy broad and bossy shield thy thighs and shins, thy shoulders and thy breast, the long spear ponderous in thy right hand wield, and on thy head high nod the dreadful crest. Mark well the lessons of the warlike art, that teach thee, if the shield with ample round protect thy bosom, to approach the dart, nor choose with timid care the distant ground. But for close combat with the fronting foe, elate in valorous attitude draw near, and aiming hand to hand the fateful blow, brandish thy tempered blade or massy spear. Yes, for the rage of stubborn grapples steeled, grasp the sword's hilt and couch the long-beat lance. Foot to the foeman's foot, and shield to shield, crest even to crest, and helm to helm advance. But ye light-armed who, trembling in the rear, bear smaller targets at a distance, throw the hissing stone or hurl the polished spear, placed nigh your panoply to mar the foe. Or Song III, Virtue Nobility. I would not value or transmit the fame of him whose brightest worth in swiftness lies, nor would I chaunt his poor unwarlike name, who wins no chaplet but the wrestler's prize. In vain for me the Cyclops' giant might blends with the beauties of Tithonus' form. In vain the racer's agile powers unite, fleet as the whirlwind of the Thracian storm. In vain for me the riches round him glow, a Midas or a Kinnera's possessed. Sweet as Adrastus' tongue his accents flow, or Pelops' scepter seems to stamp him blessed. Vain all the dastard honors he may boast, if his soul thirst not for the martial field, meet not the fury of the rushing host, nor bear o'er hills of slain the untrembling shield. This is virtue, this the noblest meed that can adorn our youth with fadeless rays, while all the perils of the adventurous deed the new-strung vigor of the state repays. Amid the foremost of the embattled train, lo, the young hero hails the glowing fight. And though fallen troops around him press the plain, still fronts the foe, nor brooks inglorious flight. His life, his fervid soul opposed to death, he dares the terrors of the field defy, kindles each spirit with his panting breath, and bids his comrade warriors nobly die. See, dismayed the phalanx of the foe turns round, and hurries o'er the plain afar, while doubling as afresh the deadly blow. He rules, intrepid chief, the waves of war now fallen, the noblest of the van he dies. His city by the beauteous death renowned, his low-bent father marking where he lies, the shield, the breastplate, hacked by many a wound. The young, the old alike commingling tears, his country's heavy grief bedews the grave, and all his race in verdant luster wears fame's richest wreath, transmitted from the brave. Though mixed with earth, the perishable clay, his name shall live, while glory loves to tell, true to his country, how he won the day, how firm the hero stood, how calm he fell. But if he 'scape the doom of death, the doom to long, dreary slumbers, he returns, while trophies flash, and victor laurels bloom, and all the splendor of the triumph burns. The old, the young caress him and adore, and with the city's love, through life repaid, he sees each comfort that endears in store till the last hour he sinks to Pluto's shade. Old as he droops, the citizens o'erawed, even veterans, to his mellow glories yield. Nor would in thought dishonor or defraud the hoary soldier of the well-fought field. Be yours to reach such eminence of fame, to gain such heights of virtue nobly dare, my youths, and mid the fervor of acclaim, press to glory, nor remit the war. War Song IV, Rouse Spartan. Rouse, my youths, the chain of torpor break, spurn idle rest, and couch the glittering lance. What? Does not shame with blushes stain your cheek quick mantling, as ye catch the warrior's glance? Ignoble youths, say, when shall valor's flame burn in each breast? Here, while hosts invade, and war's wild clangors all your courage claim, ye sit as if still peace embowered the shade, but sure fair honor crowns the auspicious deed, when patriot love impels us to the field, when to defend a trembling wife we bleed, and when our sheltered offspring bless the shield. What time the fates ordain, pale death appears, then with firm step and sword high drawn, depart, and marching through the first thick shower of spears, beneath thy buckler guard the intrepid heart. Each mortal, though he boasts celestial fires, slave to the sovereign destiny of death, or mid the carnage of the plain expires, or yields unwept at home his coward breath. Yet sympathy attends the brave man's bier, sees on each wound the balmy grief bestowed, and as in death the universal tear, through life inspires the homage of a god. For like a turret his proud glories rise, and stand above the rival's reach, alone, while millions hail with fond, adoring eyes the deeds of many a hero meet in one. War Song V, Heraclean Lineage. Ye are of the lineage of the invincible Heracles, so be ye of good cheer. Not yet is the head of Zeus turned away. Fear ye not a multitude of men, nor flinch, but let every man hold his shield straight towards the vanguard, making life his enemy, and the black spirits of death as dear as the radiance of the sun. For ye know the destroying deeds of lamentable Ares, and well have learnt the disposition of woeful war. Ye have tasted both of the fleeing and the pursuing, men, and had more than your fill of either. Those who abiding shoulder go with a will into the melee and the vanguard, of these are fewer slain. These save the people afterward. As for them that turn to fear, all their valor is lost. No man could tell in words each, and all the ills that befall a man if he once come to dishonor. For pleasant it is in dreadful warfare to pierce the midriff of a flying man, and disgraced is the dead that lieth in the dust with a spear point in his back. So let each man bite his lip, and abide firm set astride upon the ground, covering with the belly of his broad buckler thighs and legs below, and breast and shoulders above. Let him brandish the epic spear in his right hand. Let him wave the dire crest upon his head. Let him learn how to fight by doing doughty deeds, and not stand shield in hand beyond the missiles. Nay, let each man close the foe, and with his own long spear, or else with his sword, wound and take an enemy, and setting foot beside foot, resting shield against shield, crest beside crest, helm beside helm, fight as man breast to breast with sword or long spear in hand. And ye also, ye light-armed, crouch ye on either hand beneath the shield, and fling your great hurlstones, and throw against them your smooth javelins, in your place beside the men of heavier armament. War Song VI, Spartan Virtues. Would neither call a man to mind, nor put him in my tale for prowess in the race or the wrestling. Not even had he the stature and strength of a Cyclops, and surpassed in swiftness the Thracian north wind. Nor were he a comelier man than Tithonus, and a richer than Midas or Cinyras, nor though he were a greater king than Pelops, son of Tantalus, and had Adrastus's suasiveness of tongue, nor yet though all fame were his, save of warlike strength. For a man is not good in war if he have not endured the sight of bloody slaughter, and stood nigh, and reached forth to strike the foe. This is prowess, this is the noblest prize and the fairest for a lad to win in the world. A common good this both for the city and all her people, when a man standeth firm in the forefront, without ceasing, and making heart and soul to abide, forgetteth foul flight altogether, and hearteneth by his words him that he standeth by. Such a man is good in war. He quickly turneth the savage hosts of the enemy, and stemmeth the wave of battle with a will. Moreover, he that falleth in the van, and loseth dear life to the glory of his city, and his countrymen, and his father, with many a frontwise wound through breast and breastplate, and through bossy shield, he is bewailed alike by young and old, and lamented with sore regret by all the city. His grave and his children are conspicuous among men, and his children's in his line after them, nor ever doth his name and good fame perish. But though he be underground, he liveth evermore, seeing that he was doing nobly and abiding in the fight for country's and children's sake when fierce Ares brought him low. But and if he escape the doom of outstretched death, and by victory make good the splendid boast of battle, he hath honor of all, alike young as old, and cometh to his death after much happiness. As he groweth old, he standeth out among his people, and there's none that will do him hurt either in honor or in right. All yield him place on the benches, alike the young and his peers and his elders. This is the prowess each man should this day aspire to, never relaxing from war. War Song VII, Fatherland. Now it is noble for a brave man to die, having fallen opposite the foremost ranks, whilst fighting for his fatherland. But most grievous of all is it for a man to be a beggar, having quitted his own city and fertile fields, and wandering with a loved mother and aged father, with little children and wedded wife. For to whomsoever he shall have come, among them will he be hateful, yielding to need and to wretched poverty. He disgraces his race and belies his fair beauty, and every kind of dishonor and woe follows him. Besides, for a man thus vagrant, look you, there is no care, nor has he respect in time to come. With spirit let us fight for this land, and for our children die, being no longer chary of our lives. Fight then, young men, standing fast one by another, nor be beginners of cowardly flight or fear, but rouse a great and valiant spirit in your breasts, and love not life when you contend with men. And the elders, whose limbs are no longer active, the old, I say, desert not or forsake. For surely this were shameful, that fallen amid the foremost champions, in front of the youths, an older man should lie low, having his head now white and his beard hoary, and breathing out a valiant spirit in the dust, whilst he covers with his hands his gory loins, which were a shame, and would make one wroth to behold with his eyes, and is stripped as to his person. Yet all this befits the young, whilst I wot he enjoys the brilliant bloom of youth. To mortal men and women he is lovely to look upon whilst he lives, and noble when he has fallen in the foremost ranks. Then let everyone with firm stride await the foe, having both feet fixed on the ground, biting his lip with his teeth. War Song VIII, Call to Heroic Action. How long lie ye inactive? When will ye have a brave spirit, young men? And are ye not ashamed of the dwellers all around, since ye dally thus exceedingly? For ye think ye sit secure in peace, yet war possesses the whole land. And let a man, as he dies, discharge his javelin for the last time. For it is both honorable and noble for a man to fight for land, and children, and wedded wife, with his foes. And death will come at some time, whensoever in truth the fates shall have allotted. But let everyone, having lifted aloft his lance, and gathered up his stout heart under his shield, go right forward, when the battle first is joined. For it is not fated by any means that a man should escape death at least. No, not though he be by family of immortal ancestry. Often he comes forth, after having escaped battle strife and din of javelins, and in his home fated death found him. Now the latter is not in like manner a friend to the commonalty, nor regretted by them, whilst the former, the brave man, small and great bewail, if aught shall have happened to him. For the whole people together regrets a stout-hearted hero when he dies, and living he is worthy of the demigods, for they behold him with their eyes even as a tower, since, though single-handed, he performs deeds worth those of many. War Song IX, To the Soldier After a Defeat. Now since you are the seed of Heracles, the invincible courage Zeus has not yet turned away from us. Do not fear the multitude of their men, nor run away from them. For each man should bear his shield straight at the foremost ranks, and make his heart a thing that hates life, and hold the black flying spirits of death as dear as he holds the flashes of the sun. You know what havoc is the work of the painful war god. You have learned well how things go in exhausting war, for you have been with those who ran and with the pursuers. O young men, you have had as much of both as you want. Those who, standing their ground and closing their ranks together, endure the onset at close quarters and fight in the front. They lose fewer men. They also protect the army behind them. Once they flinch, the spirit of the whole army falls apart, and no man could count over and tell all the number of evils, all that come to a man once he gives way to disgrace. For once a man reverses and runs in terror of battle, he offers his back, a tempting mark to spear from behind, and it is a shameful sight when a dead man lies there in the dust, driven through from behind by the stroke of an enemy spear. No, let him take a wide stance and stand up strongly against them, digging both his heels into the ground, biting his lip with his teeth, covering thigh and leg beneath, his chest and his shoulders under the hollowed-out protection of his broad shield, while in his right hand he brandishes the powerful war spear and shakes terribly the crest high above his helm. Our men should be disciplined in the work of the heavy fighter, and not stand out from the missiles when he carries a shield, but go right up and fight at close quarters and with his long spear or short sword thrust home and strike his enemy down. Let him fight toe to toe and shield against shield, hard driven, crest against crest, and helmet on helmet, crest against crest. Let him close hard and fight it out with his opposite foe, holding tight the hilt of his sword or his long spear. And you, O light-armored fighters, from shield to shield of your fellows, dodge for protection, and keep steadily throwing great stones, and keep on pelting the enemy with your javelins. Only remember always to stand near your own heavy-armored men. War Song X, a hero's life and a hero's death. I would not see anything for a man, nor take account of him for any speed of his feet, or a wrestling skill he might have. Not if he had the size of a cyclops and the strength to go with it. Not if he could outrun Boreas, the north wind of Thrace. Not if he were more handsome and gracefully formed than Tights honest, or had more riches than might his head, or a Kairos. Not if he were more of a king than Tantalate Pelops, or had the power of speech and persuasion addressed his head. Not if he had all these splendors except for a fighting spirit, for no man ever proves himself a good man in war, unless he can endure to face the blood in the slaughter, go close against the enemy, and fight with his hands. Here is courage, man's finest possession. Here is the noblest prize that a young man can endeavor to win. And it is a good thing his city and all his people share with him. When a man plants his feet and stands in the foremost spears, relentlessly, all thought of foul flight completely forgotten, and has well trained his heart to be steadfast and to endure, and with words encourages the man who is stationed beside him. Here is a man who proves himself to be valiant in war. With a sudden rush, he turns to fight the rugged battalions of the enemy and sustains the beating waves of assault. And he who so falls among the champions and loses his sweet life, so blessing with honor his city, his father, and all his people, with wounds in his chest, where the spear that he was facing has transfixed the massive guard of his shield and gone through his breastplate as well. Why, such a man is lamented, like by the young and by the old, and all his city goes into mourning and grieves his loss. His tomb is conspicuous among men, and all his children are as well, and his children's children, and afterwards all the race that is his. His shining glory is never forgotten. His name is remembered, and he becomes an immortal, though he lies under the ground. When one who was a brave man has been killed by the furious war god, standing his ground and fighting hard for his children and for his land. But if he escapes the doom of death, the destroyer of bodies, and wins his battle and bright renown for the work of his spear, all men give place to him, like the young and the old, and much joy comes his way before he goes down to the dead, aging. He has reputation among his citizens. No one tries to interfere with his honors or all he deserves. All men withdraw before his presence and yield their seats to him, the young, the men of his age, and even those older than he. Thus, a man should endeavor to reach this high place of courage with all his heart, and so trying, never be backward in war.